the debate tonight. Now, on Diwali, you can burst firecrackers only between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. On New Year's and Christmas, burst crackers only for an hour around midnight. Supreme Court today stopped just short of issuing a blanket ban on firecrackers.
The court has categorically said that anything which is high emission, which is high in sulfur, lead, barium salts, or any of these products which are pollutants will, even if manufactured and in circulation, will not be burst.
The manufacture and sale of all fireworks which are not e-fireworks or low-emission fireworks, except those two categories, everything else has been banned today.
Supreme Court says use green crackers, reduced emission and low decibel ones. The loud polluting bombs and crackers are henceforth banned.
पटाखे जिसमें साउंड कम हो तो महंगे ही मिलेंगे और वो मतलब नहीं लागू होना चाहिए।
सभी भारतीय नागरिकों से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि सस्ते और अच्छे वाले जो नॉन पोल्यूटेड पटाखे हैं उनका इस्तेमाल करें।
पोल्यूशन से बचने के लिए पटाखे नहीं चलाए जाएं तो बहुत ही बढ़िया है।
नेक्स्ट डे आप दीपावली के देखेंगे तो इतना फॉग होता है कि 2-3 दिन तक तो है आप जाना आना बंद कर सकते हैं, इतना भयानक फॉग होता है।
As the Supreme Court shows India the way to a cleaner Diwali, Mirror now asks, will the government be able to implement this curfew on firecrackers? After this ban, will India breathe easy? Let's debate.
You're watching the Urban Debate on Mirror now, and here's the question that we're asking. If the Supreme Court has said firecrackers can only be burnt between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock during Diwali and 1 hour for Christmas and New Year, is this the solution that we needed? Our phone lines are open to you. I know that this is a very emotive subject and a lot of our viewers have polar opposite views on what should happen and how this would affect us. Pick up the phone and call us. But joining me on the show, Gopal Shankar Narayan, counsel for the 3 toddlers in the Supreme Court who were the main petitioners in this case, Dr. Sanjeev Mehta, pulmonologist with Leelavati Hospital, Kailash Vasudev, senior advocate with the Supreme Court, Rajiv Pandey with the BJP, Dhanraj Vanjari, former ACP Mumbai. Very interesting question to ask Dhanraj Vanjari today is how will the police manage to actually implement this? Naveen Chadwa is the president of the Mumbai Thane District Firework Dealers Welfare Association, and Kanak Gupta is a citizen voice who's going to talk about how pollution has affected his family. I welcome all of you to this conversation and I thank you for joining us. I'm going to start with Gopal Shankar Narayan. Mr. Shankar Narayan, thank you for joining us. You argued this case on behalf of 3 toddlers. One of the questions that has come up since we got the order is, does it just apply to the NCR region or will it apply to all of India?
Thanks for having me on the show, Faye. There are, I think, 2 or 3 different aspects of this order, and I want to make the first one, which are the first 2 directions, very, very clear. The court has said that all polluting, high polluting fireworks, the sale and manufacture of those fireworks are hereby banned. The only fireworks which are going to be permitted in this country now are green fireworks and low emission fireworks. These are 2 proposed sets of fireworks by the government of India. Once they are brought forward and manufactured, they will need clearances by the Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization, PESO. After that, it can be sold, and if they are sold, if and only if they exist and are sold, will all the other regulations regarding time periods, regarding spaces, community spaces where they will be burst, etc., will they all kick in. Otherwise, today is historic because, in effect, every single firecracker that exists in the country has been banned. It has a pan-India effect because the manufacture is banned. It has a Delhi NCR effect if the existing stocks are sought to be sold in Delhi and the NCR.
Well, Mr. Naveen Chadwa, the president of the Mumbai Thane District Firework Dealers Welfare Association, how is the industry reacting to this judgment right now? What percentage of the fireworks that were being prepared for Diwali this year qualify as green fireworks?
Now the green fireworks which has been said by the court,
Ji.
that is that now government explosive machinery and that control has put on CBC that they are going to manufacture these fireworks according to BSI standard, and that BSI standard will be implemented, and BSI standard when it is implemented there will be more control on noise, on air pollution, and the fireworks will be in under norms of explosive, and the explosive department will give them permission according to that, and these fireworks will be coming in market.
नवीन जी, अभी तक भी एक्सप्लोसिव डिपार्टमेंट की रेगुलेशन थी, लेकिन फायरवर्क्स जो बन रहे थे वो तो रेगुलेशन के बाहर बन रहे थे. अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने
रेगुलेशन नहीं बनते थे नॉइज पोल्यूशन एक्ट के अंदर, और ये जो पोल्यूशन एक्ट है वो आज का नहीं है, वो 2000 के साल में भी वो एक्ट चला, 2005 में, 2008 और 2010 इसके अंदर नए नए अमेंडमेंट्स आए, और वो अमेंडमेंट्स को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए कोर्ट ने बोला है. कोर्ट का ऑर्डर काफी अच्छा है, कोर्ट क्योंकि हम ट्रेडर्स हैं.
कोर्ट ने कहा है कि मैन्युफैक्चर, सेल और यूज ऑफ सीरीज क्रैकर्स या लड़ी जो हम बोलते हैं, वो जो लंबे 500 के आते हैं, वो तो पूरी की पूरी बैन होंगी.
वो पहले से ही बैंड है एक्चुअली. 50 से ऊपर जॉइंट क्रैकर बनना ही नहीं चाहिए. तो 50 से ऊपर के जॉइंट क्रैकर पहले से ही बैंड है, तो ये लरी सीरीज एक्चुअली बैंड है.
हाँ, लेकिन फिर भी मिलते हैं मार्केट में.
मार्केट में मिलती है वो एक अलग विषय है. लेकिन वो
आप ट्रेडर है, आप बताइए मुझे कैसे मिलते हैं फिर मार्केट में?
मार्केट में आते हैं क्योंकि क्या है, इसके अंदर दो टाइप के लाइसेंसेस लोग हैं. एक एक्सप्लोजिव डिपार्टमेंट के लाइसेंस है, एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट के लाइसेंस है, विच इज कलेक्टर और पुलिस उस पर कंट्रोल रखती है. तो वो छोटे छोटे जो इंडस्ट्रीज वाले वो उस टाइप के प्रोडक्ट्स बना के मार्केट में आ सकता है. लेकिन एक्सप्लोजिव रूल्स और रेगुलेशन में जो फैक्ट्रीज है वहाँ पे वो प्रोडक्टों पे काफी अच्छा नियंत्रण रहता है.
आप मुझे एक बात बताइए, ये अभी इस दिवाली में अगर इम्प्लीमेंट होनी चाहिए, क्या आपको लगता है कि पूरे देश में इम्प्लीमेंट हो पाएगा? एक ग्रीन क्रैकर्स, दूसरी सीरीज क्रैकर्स को बैन करना, तीसरी बात कि वो जो 8 बजे और 10 बजे के बीच में आप पटाखे जला सकते, ये इम्प्लीमेंट हो पाएगा आपके ख्याल से?
ये काफी दिक्कत की बात है, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंट हो सकता है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. क्योंकि 8 से 10 बजे का टाइम जो बोला गया है, कोर्ट ने पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल और एक्सप्लोजिव डिपार्टमेंट को बोला है कि 15-15 दिन आप लोग इसके ऊपर सर्वे कीजिए, और सर्वे करने के बाद इसका क्या रिजल्ट आता है और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट किस ढंग से और बेस्ट तरीके से हो सकता है उसको देखना है.
7 नवंबर से दिवाली शुरू हो जाती है, लोग मार्केट में ऑलरेडी आ गए, तो उस क्रैकर्स के क्या करेंगे आप लोग? अभी ट्रेडर्स
मार्केट में जो फायरवर्क्स आए वो तो बिक्री के लिए आए हुए, और वो नॉर्म्स में हमने रूल्स और रेगुलेशन में जो मैन्युफैक्चरर उनसे परचेज किया हुआ है, जिसका हमारे पास प्रॉपर इनवॉइस है, प्रॉपर वे में. अगर रूल्स में नहीं बैठेंगे तो हम मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को रिटर्न कर देंगे, इसमें कोई हमारे को दिक्कत नहीं है, क्योंकि हमने कायदे और कानून में माल परचेज किया है, और वो कायदे कानून में नहीं होगा तो हमें उनको रिटर्न घोषित करना पड़ेगा.
तो एक्चुअली नुकसान जो होगी वो मैन्युफैक्चर को, क्या
दोनों को होगा, मैन्युफैक्चरर को भी होगा और हमें भी होगा, क्योंकि हमने तो उस माल के लिए पेमेंट किया हुआ है, और पेमेंट के बाद हमने उसका GST, टैक्सेशन सब कुछ भरा हुआ है, तो वो हमारे लिए तो लॉस भी है, हमारा भी लॉस होगा.
क्या आपके ख्याल से ब्लैक मार्केट में बिकेंगे अभी फायर क्रैकर?
100% बिकेगा ब्लैक मार्केट में फायरवर्क्स, क्योंकि जितना भी रिस्ट्रिक्शन ज़्यादा होता है और जहाँ जहाँ भी कंट्रोल आता है और वो कंट्रोल बाहर के बाजू में चले जाता है, तो उसका गलत तरीके से फटाका बिक सकता है.
Black market में 100% बिकेगा. 100% we will have sales of firecrackers in the black market. Dhanraj Banjari, I want to read out to you a portion of the judgment that's very interesting, in which the court has said, if there is anyone who breaks these rules, in case there is any violation, station house officer of the concerned police station area will be held personally liable for such a violation, and this would amount to committing contempt of court, for which the station house officer would be proceeded against. What is your, first of all, the SHO will be held responsible in every area, personally responsible for enforcing this rule. Is it possible to enforce? We're talking about sale, manufacture and use of firecrackers, Mr. Banjari.
It is not at all possible to implement this rule, because it will be enormously difficult for police to give effect to this verdict of Supreme Court and implement it, for a very simple reason, that there is no upliftment or a proper tune-up in public conscience, and number 2, inadequate number of police. So far as the trader union person on the panel has rightly said that there are so many laws, there are so many restrictions, but it has not been implemented properly. As he has categorically said that over 50 you cannot have crackers together, but there are crackers who are 200, 500, thousands together. So it means that the illegal practices are still going on, and we are unable to control these illegal practices only for the reasons that we do not implement the acts properly. Now what Supreme Court has done, categorically Supreme Court is trying to put certain conditioning over the religious sort of menace, I would say, because in my opinion this is the most secular order. All and every faction of the society has been covered in this. But the difficulty for police personnel would be they have no proper machinery, and court has not considered this factor that whether police is properly equipped to curb this or not. As it has been said that the police SHO would be held responsible. How many such SHO you will put behind the bar? SHO is the rank of sub-inspector as it is been generally prescribed in criminal procedure code. But in some remote area, even Havildar or constable also can be the SHO. Now in Mumbai city, senior inspector of police for practical purposes is SHO of the police station. If certain lapses and you are going to hold SHO responsible, so there will be another chaotic situation inside the police department that what to do and how to do. So I think Supreme Court has done it very correctly.
Okay, so here's my question
if
then.
Supreme Court would have given some attention to the infrastructural things the police has.
So here's my question, and I'll take this question to Kailash Vasudev. Mr. Vasudev, what is the punishment for someone who breaks this rule? Let's assume somebody is caught either selling a banned firework or buying it or even bursting crackers after 10 p.m. What will happen? What will the police do to this individual?
Good evening, Faye. The issues arise in two folds. Crackers come under the Explosives Act. So you are entitled to prosecute a person under the Explosives Act. You're also entitled to prosecute the person under the Environment Protection Act and the rules. So these are two statutory provisions which apply. They both prescribe punishments, they both prescribe a trial. On the other side, you have a situation where the court says the SHO shall be held responsible for contempt. The SHO or the station house officer of the area does not have the wherewithal to exercise control over the huge areas which come within the jurisdiction. He may be able to regulate the areas which are in his immediate vicinity because with the police force available to him, but to control the whole area within his jurisdiction would be impossible. So the SHO becomes liable for contempt. Now the question is, SHO is liable for contempt. What about those people who have actually used the firecrackers or burst them? It is an ambiguous area. But the SHO can suggest prosecutions, as I said, under the Explosives Act, under the Environment Protection Act, or the applicable trade rules. But for contempt, it's the SHO. The other people don't seem to be coming within the purview of it, as you just read out from the judgment. I have it right here, and that is precisely what I was looking at. If the prosecution for contempt is also applicable to the persons who have used the firecrackers and they're named contemners, maybe there will be some kind of a deterrent. But I don't know, this restriction from 8 to 10, non-selling of certain categories of fireworks. Supposing people have purchased the fireworks today, they have time enough to pick them up. They can go outside the Delhi NCR areas or outside the metropolitan areas, procure crackers from areas where they are available. You see, the whole thing has become a huge conundrum, and this conundrum has been going on for several years now. To be or not to be, firecrackers or no firecrackers. The government had the opportunity at one point of time, especially after the September 17th order of last year, to relook at the constitution and the components which go into a firecracker. The firecrackers contain cordite. Cordite is an explosive. Accompanied with cordite, you have a large number of chemicals which go in, some for the purposes of flares, some for the purposes of sound. In the Western countries, even in our country, as a matter of fact, when you had the Commonwealth Games or the major games, you used to have a beautiful set of firecrackers which used to be used. And they didn't leave behind much pollution in spite of the huge volumes and sizes. So there seems to be a certain nonchalant attitude towards fireworks because of two reasons. A, it's a religious affair. It's a trite situation. B, the government is not particularly concerned because there is economics involved. The third aspect of it is this pollution involved. So you see, you've got to strike a balance. The Supreme Court has tried, but the Supreme Court does not have the wherewithal really to implement all these orders. Unfortunately, Sabrimala, we have not been able to implement.
Yes.
The previous orders of the court with Jallikattu, we have not been able to implement because there is no desire to do so.
Yes.
Now, you may give directions, we'll hold the SHO for contempt and the like, or will you be able to stop the people from doing it? I don't know.
That's going to be my question, Mr. Vasudev, to Rajiv
The orders
Pandey.
would be going in waste.
That's my question to Rajiv Pandey of the BJP. Mr. Pandey, how does the government plan to implement this order? This would mean you would have to have a police officer or a constable at the end of every street during Diwali, making sure that a child doesn't come out of their house at 6 in the evening, 5 in the evening and light a firecracker. How will you implement this?
No, this judgment is have very good intention, but personally as a lawyer and as a citizen, I feel it will be very difficult to implement this because we are not a police state. We do not have police at every nook and corner of the country that this order, or even in the Delhi NCR, that we can. But I feel personally the people will take a call that what kind of crackers they should burst, which should not affect the environment.
Hang on.
Yes, of course.
How will the people take a call when the Supreme Court has spoken?
Counsel Sahib has just said that in Sabrimala.
No. The people cannot take a call. I'm sorry. The Supreme Court has given us a verdict.
Supreme Court has already said, don't do all
how
these
the country
things.
works.
But
yes, go ahead.
Verdict. I am saying people should respect the court judgment. I am saying this. I am saying that people should respect the court judgment, that they should only burst the crackers between 8 to 10. Whatever is already said, you please don't do that. People should not do that. The best part I feel by which this can be controlled, that is the sale and production of these kind of non-green.
Okay, so how do you?
I think that will help. But
will the government be able to, Mr. Rajiv Pandey, will the government be able to implement that part of the judgment of making sure that sale and manufacturing of non-green crackers are not done? Because up until now we just heard that the black market is going to flourish. The crackers that have already been manufactured will be sold in the black market.
Now. No, that you are right. If many things which are banned in this country, murder is banned, but murder is taking place. But government will certainly try to implement this. The reason behind this, we all know that this is affecting the health of the people, health of the child.
Let me tell you.
So government will try, but this kind of orders, I personally feel there's.
Yes, let me tell you, Mr. Rajiv Pandey, if you feel that this is a great order which might be impractical and difficult to implement, this entire order was based on the suggestion and the affidavit filed by the Government of India. The Union Ministry of India, Ministry for Environment, filed an affidavit before the Supreme Court where they basically suggested all of these changes. Improved crackers, green crackers, actually ban on certain crackers. Major cities explore the option of community firecracking. All of these all these suggestions came from the Government of India. So you're telling me the government placed before the Supreme Court an affidavit of a suggestion of a solution with no idea or no intention to implement?
So government will try to implement that. I am saying the same thing. I am saying government will try its best. But putting that India is not a police state, which I am trying to say, that in every street you cannot put police, that if anybody is coming out, you arrest them or you send them behind their house. I am saying that government will certainly try, because the whole judgment is based on the affidavit filed by the Environmental Ministry. So there is no question that government will not try to implement this order.
Okay, all right.
But seeing that, suppose some kids come out and start busting crackers after 10 o'clock or before 8 o'clock, what police will do? That's why the people, the general people of this country should see that it is in our interest. So the elder people of the family should take care of this and try to minimize this and try to only burst crackers between 8 to 10. Only burst crackers of the green crackers whatever is given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. That is my take.
All right, Gopal Shankar Narayan, your reaction to the representative of the BJP who said government will try to implement, but we are not a police state.
I think a lot is being made about the role of the SHO and the police.
One second. In everywhere it is written that after 10 o'clock you cannot use loudspeaker. Every day in Mumbai you can't sleep because of the loudspeaker, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
So implement.
So people are deliberately doing this. It is the people who will have to implement all these things. So if you will implement, people will come on a street and start doing communal rights in Mumbai. You know very well what is happening in Mumbai and who are all contemptor of that case.
Mr. Rajiv Pandey,
Mr. Rajiv Pandey, people will accept all these things.
Mr. Rajiv Pandey, may I just point out that we are having a conversation about firecrackers, health and implementation of the Supreme Court verdict. You managed somehow very well to bring in a religious and communal angle. So well done you.
No, I'm
but
saying
I'm
there
going
are
to
so
take
many
this
other orders
back
also.
to the conversation that we were supposed to have. And the conversation that we were supposed to have was implementation of the Supreme Court order today. The Supreme Court order that was based on an affidavit filed by the Government of India. Gopal Shankar Narayan,
Supreme Court order.
Gopal Shankar Narayan, here's where we are. We have the order. You argued for 3 toddlers who are very sick right now. But we understand that it might be difficult to implement.
So I want to just correct that impression. The order is very clear and follows a logical sequence. It bans immediately the manufacture and sale of all non-green crackers and non-low emission crackers. So what it does is it effectively puts a complete ban on all the sparklers and rockets and crackers, etc. Forget joint crackers, that's a separate issue. It bans everything which we know as visible on the firmament of fireworks today. And that's why the manufacturers are very upset. They had opposed this affidavit of the Government of India in court. Every single manufacturer was before the Supreme Court for the last 3 years, arguing this out and vehemently opposing the green firecracker idea. Unfortunately, it's come home to roost. So now the question of 8 to 10 p.m. or the SHO's duties arise only in that narrow circumstance of the green firecracker being given permission and being utilized. Let's see when that happens. The second thing is, last year we had a ban which came in unfortunately like this, just shortly before Diwali. And many people, including me personally, had made complaints to the local SHOs that there have been violations of the time restrictions of fireworks being used, and the SHOs did nothing, which is why the court has taken a cue and said the SHOs will be responsible. Now, this doesn't mean, as is being understood by people on your panel, that the SHOs are going to behave like beat constables and walk around on the streets. The SHOs, when they receive a complaint from a concerned member of the citizenry, they should act. They should register a complaint under any one of the various legislations, the Environment Pollution Act, the Protection Act, the Air Protection Act, and the Explosives Act, apart from nuisance provisions under the IPC. Now, if they fail to do any of these, then they will genuinely be guilty of contempt. We believe that this Damocles sword hanging over them is going to have a deterrent effect. And I want to put a question to my BJP friend. In the last 25 years, this has been an issue plaguing the national capital. Delhi is today the worst polluted metro city in the world. I want to know one measure, not more, just one measure that the central government, and let him start blaming the UPA now for this, one measure that the central government has taken to ensure that pollution is reduced here. I want to know one measure. I'm very curious.
Mr. Rajiv Pandey, go ahead, please.
In last 4.5 years, the biggest measure this government has taken, that they are trying to construct a road across the outer skirts of the Delhi, that the bigger vehicles will not enter into Delhi. You cannot understand that what BJP is doing. I know that the way you said that he will blame for the UPA. Second thing, in the Atalji Sarkar time also, one second. Oh, now this is my turn. when the Atalji government was there, and even after the UP also, many industries have been relocated from Delhi, and that's why at least Delhi is livable. I am saying this is worst. The government which is right now ruling Delhi also, they have to also do some work. The central government is trying its best that the bigger vehicles should not come. There should be a decongestion. Many flyovers were made, and because of that, the vehicular pollution, they tried to do this. Then the CNG was utilized for the commercial vehicles. So there are so many things which government is trying to do. Again, I will come, in one of the show I said, and there is one debate is going on, we cannot have 3 crores people in Delhi, 3 crores people in Mumbai, and the main problem is that which you will not talk, nobody will talk, that the country is facing population explosion.
No, I'm sorry. One second. No, 1 second. Rajiv Pandey, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there 1 second before you derail the conversation again. This is not about population. There are more populated cities in the world.
This is not connected
and
to the
it is,
discussion.
no, 1 second. No, 1 second, Rajiv Pandey. It has been proven by science that adding flyovers doesn't bring down population. It in fact encourages more and more people to buy cars and use vehicles instead of taking public transport. This is well documented.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Dr. Sanjeev Mehta is with us. He's a pulmonologist at Leelavati. Dr. Mehta, thank you for joining us and good evening.
And Faye, just for a minute.
Yes. Mr. Shankar Narayan, very quickly, please.
I just wanted to say that the relocation of industries, the CNG, every single measure was done by the Supreme Court. The government merely implemented it. Not a single measure has been taken by the central government, regardless of which party has been in power.
That's right.
Sir, metro is done by the government. At least give some credit, sir.
Correct.
There is a metro is going on. Metro construction is going in Delhi and Mumbai. You know, you cannot give any credit to any government. That is your lookout. I can't say for that.
Okay. Dr. Sanjeev Mehta, forgive me for interrupting you. My question to you is this. Do you believe that these measures will actually bring down pollution? Will the people of the NCR, particularly the ones who are in desperate need of the help, will they be able to breathe freely in this Diwali? Will Mumbai or Bangalore, Chennai, will they have perhaps an easier time?
Faye, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for continuing your coverage of this very important program. I think this is a very important step, and we've been covering this for the last few years, and this is an incremental step, and unlike many of the other people, I'm very encouraged that these steps are now put in place. It's one by one. And I think we are winning the war against pollution, at least as far as crackers is concerned. I'm completely sure that this step will be very helpful in helping our patients breathe better. More than our patients, the population, you and me, will all breathe and sleep better on these days where there was very high level of pollution. But that being said, I want to explain, even today as we speak, I don't know if you read the paper, I'm sure you did. The pollution level in BKC, which is the heart of Mumbai, with the upper limit of air quality control should be 78, is 309. This is Mumbai without crackers. You can imagine what will happen to Mumbai on the day you burst a lot of crackers. So clearly it's a step in the right direction, but there needs to be much more than just this. I don't want the conversation to end here. As a doctor, as a person who suffers, I mean, all of us, I want these steps to be built on and go far beyond. This great step, I can hear all the other experts talking about the implementation, but I think it's a good first step.
Kanak Gupta is a citizen
I hope there'll be many more.
Yes, in the NCR region.
We need to work on everything.
Mr. Gupta, I understand you have a young child who's had to suffer because of Delhi's pollution. What is your reaction to the Supreme Court order?
Faye, thank you so much for inviting me here. I came all excited because I welcome the Supreme Court judgment that, there is a ban on crackers, and my daughter's suffering from bronchitis. She's just 8 years old. But I'm fairly disappointed hearing a few things that I've heard. As an ordinary citizen, for me, it's important to know that the government is looking at implementing whatever decision has been taken by the Supreme Court. But it looks like, the question that you asked as to how do you implement it, it's fairly difficult, it looks like it. Let me make it very clear. As a common citizen, I don't see this as a religion problem. I do not want to see it as a political problem. I do not want to see it as a problem of economics. I have full empathy. I have full sympathy with people who are involved with the trade, with people who are working in factories. Absolutely, there should be a plan of action for them as well. However, I think this is a problem about health. This is an emergency. We are not living in Delhi. We are slowly dying. And if we do not have an implementation plan, I really don't know. I really don't know why we are talking about it, that, you know, there are loudspeakers on and there are flyovers being constructed. This is a problem about pollution. We really need to understand. My daughter last Diwali, inside the house with 4 air purifiers on, was sneezing, wheezing, coughing.
No, let him finish, please. Let him finish.
Right.
Mr. Gupta, please finish.
Yeah, so she was sneezing, wheezing inside the house in spite of 4 very high power air purifiers. That is not the way of life that you want to give to anyone. That is not essentially why people are living in Delhi. I cannot uproot my family. There are instances of a lot of kids being rushed to the hospital. Faye, last year on Diwali day, it's a reality. I'll be happy to share medical receipts. We could not locate a doctor because most of the doctors were celebrating Diwali or they were on holiday, and it's respect to them. Yes, it's their festival as well. We finally found a doctor who could treat her in that emergency situation, give her a nebulizer. That is not the kind of life that I imagine for my daughter. I want her to stand up and say, yes, I have a right to breathe, and you have given me that right to breathe.
Yes.
I want the government to take some progressive steps. I do not want the government to say, yes, it may happen, it may not happen. I don't want someone to turn around and say that, yes, black market is going to flourish, with all due respects. I think the timing has to be questioned. Yes, I think it should have been done much earlier, but I welcome the decision. I am fairly happy that this decision has been taken. I really hope this is the start of the conversation, and there has to be a sustainability plan all year round. We cannot just talk about it. I've been saying this at a lot of shows. We cannot be talking about it just now. We cannot be talking about it during the crop burning season, only during Diwali. This has to be year round.
Yes, absolutely. Rajiv Pandey had a response. Very quickly, please go ahead.
Only 30 seconds. You know, I brought that there was a Supreme Court judgment about the noise pollution, and time limit was fixed for all religious functions. But as everybody was saying, this order will not be implemented, or whether government will be able to implement or not. In that context, I said that people have to be more accommodative. People should also implement the order of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Like I am not going to allow both the kids to burst crackers beyond the time limit, and the crackers which is permitted by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. That was my point of view. There are certain people who will say, no, noise pollution is not a pollution. 5 o'clock my mother gets up and people are in trouble in Mumbai. That is not a problem. Population is not a problem in Mumbai. 3 crores people will be there. Will import from Bangladesh.
You have to
that
take
was my point
initiatives
of
to
view.
educate people.
Bangladesh. Okay, Mr. Kailash Vasudev had
No,
a point.
every time government cannot take initiative. Government initiative is thwarted by the Supreme Court. When some people with vested interest challenge the deportation of the Rohingya Musliman. What you are saying, every time it is not only government. Government is fighting.
No, hang on, Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, we are not. Mr. Pandey, let me remind you what we are talking about. We are talking about firecrackers, pollution, health, and Supreme Court. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, please go ahead.
See, the situation is today everything is happening via the courts. Whether it is environment, whether it is pollution, whether regulation of dam construction, whether it is construction of housing and the like, whether it is regulation of CNG, all this has come through the courts. The courts are now becoming, the Supreme Court unfortunately is given the responsibility and the burden of taking care of situations which come under fundamental duties. Fundamental duties under the Constitution apply to government. The government has got to take responsibility in improving things. You cannot possibly turn around and put everything into the domain of the courts and say, look, court is directed, I'll try and implement it, maybe it will not be possible. This is what we are coming to. If you are going to invite a decision of the court, it is your obligation to implement it. I personally said in the beginning that how will a poor SHO implement the decisions of the court because he doesn't have the wherewithal. He will unfortunately be in a position where a good citizen goes to say, Mr. SHO, you're not implementing the order of the court. There's a set of firecrackers taking place 5 kilometers away from your station. That man can't do it. It is here that the question comes in, what has the government done in all these years to regulate and improve environmental controls? Environmental controls have to come in a systematic, planned manner in which the infrastructure has to be looked at, the environment has to be looked at, the availability of all sorts of situations, Explosives Acts, Environmental Protection Act, Air Pollution Act, Water Pollution Act. You see, we have got a gamut of such statutes. But tell me, does the government have a gamut of plans to implement those statutes? No, it does not. It is here that the hurt comes.
That is the main problem.
We are failing as an institution called government to implement. The problem, the learned doctor from the hospital just mentioned, we are all happy that the Supreme Court has stepped in, but how far can the Supreme Court go? It can go to implement a law, suggest the implementation of a law, lay down guidelines, but the implementation thereof is with the government. If you take a stand in government,
yes.
Supreme Court has passed an order, we'll try and implement it.
Yes.
Sorry, we can't. What's the purpose of it all? You are defeating the very genesis of the third and the most important limb of our system, the judiciary, in seeking to implement the laws. Don't defeat the courts. The courts are doing their duties. You should also do yours. If you don't, you will defeat the entire gamut, not only of the court, but you will defeat the rights of the citizens. This is where we are going wrong.
Very well said. I have a question for Dr.
Take,
Sanjeev.
for example, your
Sanjeev
recent
Mehta.
tragedy in Punjab. 60.
Yes. 1 second, forgive me. Dr. Mehta, we have a couple of minutes left.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Okay, all right. Mr. Vasudev, go ahead, please.
Now, I was just saying something. Now, take, for example, you've had this horrific tragedy in Punjab where 61 people have been killed. Have you arrested one person in 4 days? No. Today is the 4th day. Have you taken any steps to bring about some kind of a situation? You are having a public display of handing out checks. Is that what the people want?
No.
They want to know why it happened.
Yes.
They want to have a system. There's a total failure of the system in governing things. Good governance does not exist.
All right,
That is where the people are being hurt. That is where Faye D'Souza comes up and says, let's do something.
But I have a question.
This is where your program comes in. This is where you seek to bring about an awakening.
Yes.
And I thank you for it.
And thank you for your time and generosity on this program always, Mr. Vasudev. Dr. Mehta, unfortunately, this is a moment also when we have to be harsh with the truth. Dr. Mehta, the truth is children growing up in the NCR region where the pollution levels, and you're talking about 325, they hit 900 in some areas, they hit 500, they hit 600 in the NCR region. Children who grow up in that gas chamber, what quality of life will they have for the rest of their lives, having been born and brought up in the NCR region, in these levels of pollution?
Yeah. Faye, thank you very much for this question. This is so important. I think part of the battle that you and we have to fight is a battle in the hearts of the people. They have to understand, as one of the previous speakers said, it's a health issue and this health is killing everybody. So to come to your question, first thing I want everybody to know that many people say this is a short burst. Even a short burst of pollution can have a long damaging effect. Point number one. Point number two, in cities such as Mumbai, Delhi, and unfortunately we have the 14 most polluted cities, I think, in Asia or the world. In all these cities, these lungs become stunted. These children, first of all, develop allergies. That affects the nose, that affects the eyes. They then affect the lungs. These lungs become small and shrunken. These lungs never develop to normal size lungs. So you imagine this child who's born today, and that's the point you make which is so important, if he's exposed to this kind of pollution, will never develop into a normal lung at the age of 20. What it means is that if I lose lungs at the age of 60, this child may be losing lungs at 40, will be on oxygen and may require supportive breathing at the age of 50, 55. This is a disaster that's happening. It's an economic disaster, it's a health disaster. What we now know are two more dangerous things. One, and this is so important for everybody to know, One, that this pollution effect can lead to cancer. And this is something people do not understand. They think it's a simple cough and cold. No, it can lead to permanent lung damage. It leads to cancer. What is even more frightening now, we know from studies done on smoking mothers, that the effect goes down generation. So if a mother smoked today with a baby in her womb, that baby develops asthma, that baby's baby will develop asthma. Same applies to the permanent methylation that may happen because of exposure to pollution. So please, folks who are out there, understand that this is a crisis.
Yes.
This is not a problem. This is a crisis that is going not to us, to our next generation and to generations beyond that. And we may be already over the tipping point. So it's a very,
Faye, can
very
I just say
important point you make. And this is where the battle has to be won. It cannot...
Yes. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, gentlemen. I have to wrap up the conversation here. But like was pointed out, this is not the last conversation. We have to keep coming back to it. I don't know how many of our viewers noticed that we had 3 guests today out of the NCR region: Gopal Shankar Narayan, Kailash Vasudev and Kanak Gupta. All of them were coughing through the course of this last 1 hour. This is air. Air is the greatest equalizer. The richest person in the city and the poorest person in any city are breathing the same air. You cannot escape it. You can put as many air purifiers as you want in your house. Your children will be breathing the same air that my children are breathing and everybody else's children are breathing. So it is a collective decision we have to make, and we can do this whether or not the government implements. People like Naveen Chadwa, who are with the Firework Dealers Welfare Association, have to make sure that other dealers' welfare associations make sure that none of the dealers sell crackers that are in fact banned. The government needs to make sure that this entire order is publicized and every parent and every child, every school, every office knows about it. The police must implement, and we must find a way to follow the rules. Because it's at the end of the day about keeping our children alive. It's no longer about keeping our children safe. It's about keeping our children alive. And there cannot be a call clearer than that one. The Supreme Court has laid the grounds for it. Based on government recommendation, there should be absolutely nothing standing in the way of this order. Let's get together and let's save our children. Thanks for watching.